over and over again, when I was tagging my interviews, I kept seeing the phrase, I don't feel like a person, or I didn't feel like a person, or I didn't feel like a person until, right? I kept seeing that phrase come up. And so I started tagging when it was coming up. And then in the tagging process, I saw that in a lot of those same people's stories, there was another time when they said, I started to feel like a person for the first time when, right? Or, something along those lines of like, for the first time, I felt like a person, right? And so I was going through and being like, what is going on that people feel like they're not people, and then that they regain a sense of personhood, right? And what I was finding in the interviews, this is all pre-book, right, was that there was this theme where when people felt like they had handed over their choices to other people, they felt removed from humanity. So it could be something as little as somebody who didn't feel like they had the right to make any choices. If you and I are talking and you're telling a story and I have to go to the bathroom, I'm not allowed to get up and go to the bathroom. I have to let you finish your story and then wait until there's not an awkward pause for me to actually be like, okay, I'm just going to step away. And, if somebody asks me to go hang out, I have to say yes because they want to, even if I'm exhausted, right? So there are little ways like that that made people feel like everyone else got to have their wants. Everyone else got to have their desires. Everyone else got to have their idiosyncrasies. Everyone else got to have their choices, including their inappropriate, behavior, right? But not me. I have to do what's right for everyone else. For some people, it was bigger things like, for example, one woman talked about how she wanted to be a pastor, but she was told that women can't preach, women can't be pastors. And so she said, okay, I can't do this. This is not for me. Other people get to choose the ministry. Other people get to choose their vocations, their careers, but not me. I'm not a person. Right.
Mm.
And it's when they start to actually make choices for themselves, as little as, sorry, I'm just going to stop you for a minute. I'm going to run to the bathroom, right? And
Mm.
as big as I'm going to divinity school, right? That people started to feel a sense of personhood. And I think that's really important because I think that purity culture certainly is about sex and it is about gender, but it is so much more about purity culture, and the larger culture that engenders purity culture, right, is so much more about removing you as a human being from your selfhood
Mm.
and negating your selfhood, right? And sort of pausing your development, really, right? Your individual development at a stage where you are still looking to others for how to make your decisions, right? So for example, we learn that you are given a particular community. This is your community. These are your people. They're the right ones. They're the good ones. They have all the answers. If they approve of you, you're in, you're good, you have all the answers. If they don't, you're out, right?
Mm.
So your first thing you have to do is figure out who your community is, make all the right choices according to them, right? And then become the person who makes all those choices.
Mm.
Have the feelings of the person who would make those choices. Have the thoughts of the person who would make those choices. Have the bodily experiences of someone who would make those choices, right? So essentially, you are shaping yourself. You're manipulating your self development, to fit other people's expectations, right? So the reason this feels so important to me is because I have increasingly found that the healing that we can have post purity culture has to do with kind of taking these three questions and putting them in the right order. So starting with, who am I? What do I think? What do I feel? What is my body experiencing? What are my wants? What are the, aspects of me that are complex but exist, right? Etc. And then where am I going? Right? What choices do I want to make, etc. And then who will go with me? A
Mm.
question that we can't answer, right? A
Mm.
question that only other people can answer. So I think that in many ways, the church taught us to ask those same three questions in the opposite order, which is what divorces us from our sense of even our humanity. So it's actually not a small thing, right? Sometimes I
Mm.
think people feel like, oh, purity culture, blah blah blah, y'all are fine, right? No, in many cases, we become so separated from our humanity, right, from our own thoughts, our own feelings, etc., that we don't even feel like we're people And
Mhm.
that's a very fundamental thing to say.